second upload for today is still on the issue that I keep ranting on about with regard to human rights violations that I'm experiencing. Um, Basically, what I'm going to talk about in this upload is how, in communications and PR or any sort of role of, negotiation or discussion, there's always consultation and communication. Um, there have, as I've mentioned, in this entire vendetta, been the tactic of complete isolation. I've been completely isolated in a community where I've worked, where I've volunteered, where I've grown up, and where I've contributed positively to society. Um, Not once have I been involved in any antisocial behaviour. Not once have I ever been incriminated in any offences against anyone. And the issue that I'm discussing in this upload is basically the breathing space that these matters that I'm experiencing have given to those adding fuel to fire. Um, the issue of people running riot with their stories, lies, and defamation is very dangerous. Um, the issue that I have about all of this is that in isolating the person that they have wronged and abused and stolen so much from, um, they have basically changed their stories, plots, and characters along the way. This vendetta hasn't been a very clever vendetta. There have been many falsehoods and many wrongdoings done to others as well as myself. Um, what I have an awful issue about is that there are individuals that have imposed upon me in my personal living spaces. I've experienced inviolability of my dwellings on several occasions since I gave birth and got married, and there have been people imposing and intruding, and there have been people thinking they're in a process of decision making about me without having discussed any matter of what is of relevance with me. They have withheld information. I have sought information with regards to legislative developments locally and nationally, and that information has been withheld from me intentionally. So, in isolating a person, that's just one tactic, but withholding information from a person, that's just trying to make a person vulnerable to any progressive changes that are occurring. But for people to progress in society from the work of another individual while disrespecting that individual doesn't say much for their respect of civil society. So there's many things wrong with this situation besides the medical incompetent, bodily integrity violations, financial abuse, legal violations, and the defamation and violations of privacy that I keep discussing in these uploads. The serious aspect about this is that there are people taking liberties with what doesn't belong to them, and there are people destroying a family unit that they had no business intruding upon. There are people uh, prepared to perpetrate further legal offences and injustices against an innocent person because of their disdain and disability to be honest and to be, um, you know, in any way conscious of the fact that they're responsible for very serious offences. Um, these people have no skills or expertise in conflict resolution. They have not attempted to even make amends for the damage of defamation over a decade ago and the offences of assault that I experienced. So basically, all of these matters that I am sharing about has highlighted a breakdown in communication, a convenient breakdown in communication by those people stealing from me. These people that have stolen professional opportunities, damaged my professional career, disrespected my professional qualifications and expertise, have no first-hand knowledge of me. They had no business to intrude in my family life, but they've discussed unethically as a consequence of the spiritual gifts, blessings, and um, light fragments that they stole from my light body, have exposed private matters and have disinformed individuals about this matter. So there are people that are guilty of facilitating sexual assault and revenge porn. There are individuals guilty of facilitating children's rights violations and women's rights violations. There's an obstruction of justice occurring from over a decade ago, and in recent times, those offences have been worsened and have become more serious. And the tactic of isolating an individual, while this spiritual violence and defamation and violation of privacy and financial theft that I've experienced, while this is continuously ongoing, um, there has been complete disregard for the bigger picture of human rights and civil liberties. There are people with superiority complexes thinking they're in a position um, to actually have any stance in this situation. They have felt entitled to trespass and to take what doesn't belong to them. So, whatever contracts of law these individuals are referring to, the facts of the matter remain. The basic procedures and policies that all agencies have stipulated have not been regarded very highly at all. So it's very difficult for people to come to terms with wrongdoings and whistling. But the facts of the matter are the more offences they have perpetrated, they have made matters worse. As a light worker and of royal ancestry, these people that have closed down a community have isolated their victim and target and have broadcasted the most dangerous falsehoods and discussed matters they're not in a position to discuss and have come in close proximity to their target, um, makes me wonder about the role of authorities and justice in this entire situation. So these are issues of concern for victims and for those experiencing human rights violations. Um, there has been no discussion, consultation, except isolation and lies and defamation. So, in a democracy, these practices are not tolerable, and on a European context, by EU law, this entire situation is absolutely scandalous. So, this is what I'm experiencing. Please raise awareness about these matters. Assistance, as I've mentioned, since they perpetrated their first offence and since told many dangerous falsehoods, has worsened with the financial abuse I'm experiencing and due to the professional defamation and damage and loss of opportunities that they've caused for me, as well as the bodily integrity issues and the medical issues, health issues that they've also perpetrated. So I'd appreciate it if those with a conscience would lend support to this situation because it's children's rights that are an issue also.